painful truth is this: women do not always return, but the moment you stop acting like a man who can be broken by silence, something in the entire dynamic changes, and that is what most men misunderstand. They hear a title like this and they want a trick, they want a secret behavior, they want a sentence, a posture, a silence, a timing strategy, something that makes her come back and regret losing them. They want to believe that if they act perfectly, she will return every time, but a grown man cannot build his life on fake guarantees. A grown man builds his life on self control because when she leaves, when she pulls away, when she goes cold, when she stops replying like she used to, when she acts like the connection that once meant everything suddenly means nothing, something inside you wants to panic. You want to text, you want to explain, you want to ask what happened, you want to remind her of the good moments, you want to apologize again, you want to show her that you still care. You want one message to fix what silence is destroying inside you. But be honest, most of the time, you do not want to text because it is wise. You want to text because the pain is loud. You want relief. You want a reply. You want one sign that you still matter. You want her name on your phone so your chest can finally stop feeling heavy. That is where most men lose. Not because they love too much, but because they let pain lead their behavior. And when pain leads a man, he starts doing things that make him respect himself less. He checks her stories. He waits for her reply. He asks mutual friends about her. He sends long paragraphs. He over apologizes. He posts things to get her attention. He compares himself to other men. He keeps watching a woman's life from the outside while his own life falls apart from the inside. That is not love. That is emotional dependence. And emotional dependence does not bring respect back, it destroys it. A man does not regain power by chasing, he regains power by staying calm when everything inside him wants to react. He regains power by stepping back when fear tells him to move closer. He regains power by controlling his emotions, rebuilding his life, and letting his actions speak louder than his anxiety. The goal is not to manipulate her into returning. The goal is not to act like a character so she misses you. The goal is not to turn heartbreak into a game. The goal is to become a man who no longer loses himself when someone walks away. And that kind of man is hard to forget, not because he begs, because he does not because he keeps reminding her of his value, because he stops explaining it, not because he forces her to feel regret, because he lets reality speak. That is what changes the energy. A woman may return when she feels the difference between having access to you and losing access to you. She may return when the newness fades and she remembers your patience. She may return when she realizes the man she thought would always chase has finally chosen himself. She may return when she feels the weight of your absence, but she may not. And you must be strong enough to live well either way. Because if your whole reason for improving is to make her return, she still controls your improvement. If your silence is only for her reaction, she still controls your silence. If your discipline exists only because you hope she notices, she still controls your discipline. That is not freedom. That is waiting with better posture. A free man does not wait for a woman to return before he becomes strong. He becomes strong because his life requires it. Most men make one major mistake after she leaves. They try to keep the connection alive alone. She gets distant and he gets anxious. She replies less and he writes more. She acts cold and he becomes emotional. She becomes unclear and he tries to create clarity for both people. She gives crumbs and he treats them like commitment. He thinks if I show her how much I care, she will remember. But care without self respect becomes pressure. Love without boundaries becomes weakness. Effort without mutual effort becomes desperation. And desperation does not create attraction in the way you hope. It may create pity, it may create guilt, it may create temporary attention. But guilt is not love, pity is not respect. Temporary attention is not a real return. You do not want her to come back because you made her feel bad. You want clarity, maturity, respect, and peace. And if she cannot bring that, then her return is not the prize. Your peace is. That is why you do not chase, not to punish her, not to make her suffer, not to act like you do not care. You do not chase because chasing someone who is not choosing you clearly is how a man loses himself. If she wants space, let space exist. If she wants distance, let distance exist. If she chooses silence, stop filling that silence with your anxiety. If she wants life without your presence, let her experience life without your presence. Not with anger, with dignity. because every time you chase after she pulls away, you interrupt reality. Every time you send one more message after she ignored you, you interrupt reality. Every time you check in just to keep the door warm, you interrupt reality. Every time you act like nothing happened because you are afraid to lose her, you interrupt reality. Then you wonder why she never feels your absence. Because you never fully became absent. You kept showing up emotionally. You kept watching. You kept reacting. You kept leaving your attention in her life while pretending you had walked away. That is not strength. That is hidden chasing. If you are not texting her, but you are checking her stories, you are still chasing. If you are not calling her, but you are asking mutual friends, you are still chasing. If you are silent, but every post is meant for her reaction, you are still chasing. If you are counting the days until she breaks, you are still chasing. Real silence is not just the absence of words, it is the return of your attention. Your attention is your power. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. If your attention is on her silence, your energy feeds pain. If your attention is on her stories, your energy feeds comparison. If your attention is on her possible regret, your energy feeds fantasy. But if your attention is on your body, your work, your money, your sleep, your discipline, your faith, and your future, your energy builds power. Take it back. Your body needs you. Your work needs you. Your money needs you. Your sleep needs you. Your future needs you. Stop giving your strongest energy to someone who is giving you uncertainty. That is not hate. That is self respect. Now, what does it actually mean to act like the kind of man a woman may return to? It means you do not collapse when access is removed. It means you do not turn distance into desperation. It means you do not beg for basic communication. It means you do not reward confusion with more effort. It means you do not become cruel because you are hurt. It means you stay calm, clear, and centered. A weak man says, "Come back so I can feel okay." A stronger man says, "I am going to become okay even if you do not come back." That is the shift because the old version of you may have needed her attention to feel powerful. The old version of you may have needed her reply to sleep peacefully. The old version of you may have needed her warmth to believe you were enough. The old version may have checked her profile and called it curiosity. The old version may have waited for her message like your whole identity was trapped inside her phone. But the new version cannot live like that. The new version understands that one woman's silence cannot become the center of his life. The new version feels pain but does not obey it. The new version misses her but does not chase. The new version cares but does not beg. The new version is open to love but unavailable for confusion. That is the man you are becoming. And that man is not created by reading one message or watching one video. He is created by what you do when your emotions are loud. Now, let us talk about the late night moment because this is where most men break. During the day, you may feel strong. You work, you train, you stay busy, you tell yourself you are done, you even feel proud for a few hours. But at night, the room gets quiet, your phone is close, the memories come back. You remember the way she used to talk to you, the way she used to look at you, the messages she used to send, the soft side of her, the version that made you feel chosen. Then the cold memories return, the distance, the late replies, the silence, the way she stopped trying, the way you felt yourself becoming smaller just to keep the connection alive. And suddenly your mind starts negotiating, maybe I should text, maybe she is waiting, maybe she thinks I do not care, maybe this is my last chance. Maybe if I say the right thing, she will remember. But be honest, most of the time you do not want to text because it is wise. You want to text because you want the pain to stop. That is not the same thing. A message sent from panic rarely brings peace. It creates another prison. Now you are waiting again. Now you are checking again. Now her reply controls your night again. If she replies warmly, you get addicted again. If she replies coldly, you crash. If she does not reply, you feel rejected all over again. Do not trade your dignity for a few minutes of relief. A strong man tells himself the truth before he acts. He says, I want to text because I feel anxious. Then he leads himself. He puts the phone down, he walks, he trains, he writes what he feels in notes, but does not send it. He prays if faith is part of his life. He sleeps. He lets the emotional wave rise and fall without obeying it. Pain can be felt without being followed. You can miss her and still not text. You can care and still not chase. You can feel rejected and still not beg. You can want answers and still not reopen the wound. That is emotional control. And emotional control is what makes you different from the man she expected. Because anyone can be calm when they feel wanted. The test is whether you can stay calm when you feel rejected. Anyone can act confident when she is texting first. The test is whether you can keep your confidence when she goes silent. Anyone can have standards when they are not tempted. The test is whether you keep standards when you miss her. That is where a man is built, not in the easy moment, in the moment where the old weakness is calling him back. Now, here's your practical 7 day reset. For 7 days, do not message her first from panic. Do not check her stories. Do not ask mutual friends about her. Do not post to get her attention. Do not make emotional decisions at night. Do not reread old messages until your chest hurts. Do not send a soft message when what you really want is reassurance. Put that energy into training, work, money, sleep, discipline, faith, emotional control, and rebuilding your identity. Train your body even when your mind is heavy. Clean your room even when your emotions feel messy. Fix your sleep because tired men make weak decisions. Eat properly because heartbreak drains your focus. Walk when the urge to check hits. Brought what you want to say, but do not send it from panic. Put your phone away before midnight. Build your day before your emotions build it for you. This is not about pretending you do not care. It is about proving that her silence does not own you. Every time you do not chase, you rebuild self trust. Every time you do not check, you rebuild control. Every time you do not ask about her, you rebuild dignity. Every time you keep your routine while hurting, you become stronger. Confidence is built by keeping promises to yourself. You said you would not beg. Do not beg. You said you would not chase. Do not chase. You said you would not abandon your standards. Do not abandon them. That is how a man becomes solid. And a solid man is not easily pulled back into chaos. Now, what happens when you act like this long enough? First, your nervous system starts calming down. You stop living by every notification. You stop checking every hour. You stop needing one small sign to feel okay. You stop letting her online status decide your mood. That alone makes you stronger. Second, your self respect begins to return because every time you choose not to chase, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. Every time you do not check, you prove you are not a slave to the urge. Every time you do not beg, you prove that your dignity matters more than temporary relief. That self trust becomes confidence, not fake confidence. Real confidence, the kind that comes from keeping promises to yourself when nobody is watching. Third, your energy changes. You stop sounding hungry. You stop moving from fear. You stop over explaining. You stop chasing clarity from someone whose behavior is already giving you information. And when your energy changes, people feel it. Maybe she feels it. Maybe she does not. But you feel it first, and that is what matters because a man who feels stable within himself becomes less available for emotional chaos. That is why women sometimes return when a man acts like this. Not because he manipulated them, not because he used tricks, not because he played a cold game, but because he stopped being the same man they could predict. She expected you to chase. You did not. She expected you to keep checking. You stopped. She expected you to stay emotionally available in the background. You removed access. She expected your life to revolve around her silence. You rebuilt. That creates contrast. And contrast can make a person feel what they lost. But do not make that your mission. Your mission is not her regret. Your mission is your recovery. Now, if she does reach out, this is where many men fail. They do the hard part. They stay silent. They rebuild a little. They feel stronger. Then her name appears on the phone. Hey, how are you? I was thinking about you. I miss you. Can we talk? And suddenly, the old man wakes up. He replies too fast. He writes too much. He asks if she missed him. He tries to force clarity. He pours weeks of pain into one conversation. He acts like he has been waiting by the phone the whole time. And she feels it. She feels the hunger. She feels the pressure. She feels that his silence was not growth, it was waiting. Do not be that man. A small message is not a full return. A hey is not accountability. And I miss you is not changed behavior. A late night text is not emotional maturity. A story view is not love. A woman touching the door is not the same as a woman walking through it with clarity. If she says, hey, you can say, hey, hope you're doing well. That is enough. If she says, I miss you, you can say, I hear you. What made you reach out? If she says, I've been thinking about us, you can say, I understand. What do you want to do with that? If she says, can we talk? You can say, we can talk, but I am not rushing back into anything. These are not games, they are calm boundaries. They show openness without desperation. They invite clarity without begging. They protect your peace without attacking her. A real return can handle patience. A fake return usually cannot. If she genuinely wants to reconnect, she will respect your pace. If she only wants emotional access, she may disappear when she realizes you are not easy anymore. Let that happen. You need truth more than temporary comfort, because temporary comfort can pull you back into the same cycle that broke you. Truth sets you free. Now, if she says you changed, do not defend yourself for an hour. You can say, I had to. The old version of me kept losing himself. If she says you do not care anymore, you can say, I care, but I am not chasing confusion anymore. If she says, why are you acting different? You can say, I am being more careful with my peace. That is enough. Do not over explain. Do not turn your boundary into a debate. Do not let guilt drag you back into a place your self respect already left. A man with a center speaks clearly, then watches behavior, because behavior gives information. If she respects your boundary, that is information. If she mocks it, that is information. If she takes accountability, that is information. If she only wants access without responsibility, that is information. Do not fear information. Fear ignoring it, because fantasy feels better. Now, if she comes back with real accountability, do not punish her. Some men finally get attention back and become arrogant. They act cold. They say, now you want me? They try to make her feel small because she hurt them. That is not strength. That is pain pretending to be power. A strong man does not need revenge to feel masculine. If she comes with clarity, listen. If she comes with humility, observe. If she comes with consistent effort, allow trust to build slowly, but do not rush. Forgiveness can happen in a moment. Trust takes time. Do not confuse the two. If she apologizes, receive it calmly, but watch behavior. If she says she misses you, hear it, but watch consistency. If she wants to talk, talk, but do not throw away your peace. That is how a mature man moves. Now, if she comes back with confusion, step back. If she says, I miss you, but I do not know what I want, do not become her emotional waiting room. If she says, I care, but I am not ready, do not give full access to uncertainty. If she reaches out at night but disappears in the morning, do not chase. If she wants comfort without responsibility, step back. A man with self respect does not build his peace on maybe. Maybe can have space, maybe can have observation, maybe does not get your whole heart. That is how you protect yourself. Now, if she is with someone else and reaches out, your standard must be clear. Do not become the hidden option. Do not become the man she texts when another man disappoints her. Do not become emotional backup while she gives her time and presence somewhere else. If she says she misses you but is still involved with someone else, you can say, I understand, but I am not going to be involved while you are with someone else. That is clean. That is mature. That is self respect. No anger, no begging, no triangle. If she wants him, let her choose him fully. If she wants a serious conversation with you, she needs to be clear, available, and respectful. A man with standards does not stand in the shadows waiting to be chosen. He stands in clarity or he walks away. That is the standard. Now, if she never returns, you still win if you become the man this process creates. This is the part most men do not want to hear. They want the story to end with her message. They want proof that acting strong worked. They want the apology. They want the moment where she realizes she lost a good man. Maybe that happens. Maybe it does not. But you cannot build your life around maybe. The highest proof is not her return. The highest proof is your peace. Can you sleep without her reply? Can you train without needing her to notice? Can you work without checking your phone every 10 minutes? Can you stop asking about her? Can you feel sadness without turning it into begging? Can you remember her without reopening the wound? Can you love deeply without losing your frame? That is success, because a man who can do that is no longer easy to break. He is harder to manipulate, harder to pull into chaos, harder to make insecure, harder to treat like an option, harder to replace with temporary attention. That man is attractive because he is not desperate for attraction. He has direction, and direction is one of the strongest things a man can have. A man with direction does not orbit around a woman's uncertainty. He has things to build. He has a body to strengthen. He has money to earn. He has skills to sharpen. He has faith to deepen. He has standards to protect. He has a future that does not pause because one person became unclear. That is real masculine power. not forcing her to miss you, not trying to make her return, not playing games, becoming the man who no longer has to beg anyone to see his worth. Now, ask yourself the question that cuts through fantasy. Do you want her back because she was good for your peace, or do you want her back because being chosen again would heal the wound of rejection? Do you want a healthy relationship? Or do you want proof that you matter? Do you miss her character? Or do you miss the version of yourself you felt like when she wanted you? These questions matter because sometimes a man does not want the woman back. He wants his ego repaired. He wants the silence to end. He wants the rejection reversed. He wants one message to prove he still matters. But that is not healing. That is still being controlled by the wound. Real healing is when you no longer need her return to feel valuable. Real healing is when you no longer need her regret to respect yourself. Real healing is when you can say, if she comes back with clarity and respect, I will listen. If she does not, I will keep walking. That is freedom. And freedom is stronger than being chosen because what good is being chosen again if you have to abandon yourself to get there? What good is her return if it costs your peace? What good is her apology if you throw away your standards the moment she says the right words? Do not win her attention and lose yourself again. That is not victory. Now, do not become heartless. A strong man does not need to hate women. He does not say all women are the same. He does not become cruel because one connection hurt him. He does not make bitterness his personality. That is not masculine. That is pain wearing armor. A mature man learns the lesson without poisoning his heart. He says, I will not chase confusion again. He does not say, I will never care again. He says, I will protect my peace. He does not say, all women are bad. He says, I will choose better, move slower, and respect myself more. That is growth. You can still love deeply. You can still be loyal. You can still be warm. You can still care. But now your love needs boundaries. Your loyalty needs standards. Your warmth needs discernment. Your care needs self respect. Because love without self respect becomes suffering. And suffering is not proof of love. Sometimes it is proof that you stayed too long in a place where you were no longer being met. So tonight, when your mind tells you to text her, do not text from panic. When your ego wants proof that she misses you, do not search for proof. When your heart wants one small sign, do not beg for it. When loneliness tells you to reopen the door, breathe, put the phone down, stand up, drink water, walk, train, pray, work, sleep, build. Do one thing that makes tomorrow better. Because discipline is how a man tells heartbreak, you can hurt me, but you cannot lead me. That is the man she did not expect, not the man who begged, not the man who folded, not the man who acted strong for 2 days and then broke, the man who hurt but stayed composed, the man who cared but did not abandon himself, the man who wanted her but did not make her return the measure of his worth, the man who turned silence into strength, pain into standards, and absence into direction. That man is hard to manipulate. That man is hard to replace. That man is free. So remember this, women do not always return, but when you act with calm, self respect, discipline, boundaries, and emotional control, you become the kind of man who no longer needs a woman to return in order to feel powerful. And that is exactly why some women do return because they feel the difference. They feel the old access is gone. They feel you are no longer chasing. They feel you are no longer waiting with your life on pause. They feel that you are not the same man. They could pull back with one small message, but whether she returns or not, you keep walking. If she reaches out, you meet it with calm. If she apologizes, you observe. If she brings clarity, you listen. If she brings confusion, you step back. If she never returns, you keep building because the deepest truth is this: the goal is not to act a certain way so women always return. The goal is to become a man who never has to beg anyone to stay.